Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning and today I'm joined by my co-host Pearse McLaughlin. Hello Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing well. On today's podcast we'll be reacting to last weekend's English Premier League and Scottish Premier League results. We'll be also reacting to last weekend's FA Cup Final. We'll be previewing the Europa League Final this week. And at the end of the podcast, Pearse will be giving a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So we'll start off, as always, with the English Premier League. So on Friday, the 16th of May, the results finished Aston Villa 2, Tottenham 0, and Chelsea 1, Man United 0. On Saturday, the 17th of May, we didn't have any matches, so we'll move on to Sunday, the 18th of May. The results finished Everton 2, Southampton 0, West Ham 1, Nottingham Forest 2, Brentford 2, Fulham 3, Leicester 2, Ipswich 0, Arsenal 1, Newcastle 0, and then lastly, on Monday, the 19th of May, the result finished Brighton 3, Liverpool 2. So as always, Pearse, which match stands out to you the most?
I'm going to go with Everton 2, Southampton 0, just because of the emotional factor of obviously the very last ever game at Goodison Park. And obviously now it's rather than getting demolished like most stadiums do, it's getting transferred over to the Everton women's team, which I think it just shows you where the women's game is going in terms of it's growing, and the fact is they're getting a professional standard Goodison Park, and the Everton fans can still go back and have memories because it's still going to be there. They can go back to their seats, but obviously rather than cheering the men's team on, they can now cheer the women's team. But in terms of the match itself, I thought obviously you knew Everton kind of were going to win. There's a couple of disallowed goals where Beto scored some cracking goals, but he was obviously a wee bit too excited to get a bit too early. But Dye for me, he's been probably one of the standout players for Everton this season. And under David Moyes, he's in that number 10 position. He just kind of found form. Because we knew he played with Sheffield United a couple of seasons back, but he was also a young player, young prospect. Then goes away to Marseille, then comes back to Premier League. But I think now he's really found his feet and found his form and found a system. And I think Everton need to kind of build the attack around him, because the two goals he scored at the weekend were superb in terms of just his quick feet and just can go either way, the way he just shimmies and finds a corner. I thought his two goals were brilliant in terms of he just shifting it, finding a pocket space, bend at the bottom left, and the second one he just rounds the keeper. But in terms of the overall, I think Everton have had a tremendous season under David Moyes since he's came back in, and that is just the crowning glory. The fact is they got the final win on their very last ever match at Goodison Park, so that was a standout fixture for me, Tom.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. It wasn't a massively big weekend in the Premier League, but obviously that match, obviously with the emotional factor, obviously with that being Everton's last game at Goodison Park, it was a standard win. Agree with everything you said there with Njai, but I don't know about Goodison Park. Like I've seen Everton's new stadium and it looks brilliant, but I don't know. I've always had a soft spot for Goodison Park. I think it's going to be quite sad that they're leaving there, because I like the fact that the fans were. What I liked with Goodison Park was the fact that the fans were so close to the pitch. So when like teams like big, like the top six teams had come, everyone always gave them a good game. Like it was that because like their fans were always on top of the players, and such a good atmosphere. It was such a good old traditional stadium. But I've heard a lot of things about the fact that it's because of how old the stadium is, like the cost of it to keep it going with regards to health and safety and stuff, it's becoming too much. So I think the majority of fans are actually quite on the side of no. I think it's better that we leave and go to a new stadium. But for me, I'm actually quite sad that they aren't going to play there anymore, because I've always liked Goodison Park. But it was good at the end. I don't know if you saw some bits of it at the end, like some of the former players and stuff. Came on, like Duncan Ferguson and stuff. Obviously, he's known for his history at Goodison Park. So they got a good farewell. Repairs, and also the stadium got a good farewell. But it's not all doom and gloom, because, as you said, the women's team, they'll be playing there in the future, which is quite good. But apart from that, there wasn't really any standout matches. Liverpool lost, but they've already won the league. Chelsea won against Man United, which boosts their hopes again top four. But apart from that, not too much there that stands out. So we'll move on now to last weekend's FA Cup final. So in the FA Cup final in England, it was Crystal Palace and Manchester City. And the results finished Crystal Palace 1, Manchester City 0. And that was Crystal Palace's first ever trophy that they've won in England, the first ever FA Cup. So yeah, that was a short result. So Pearse, what was your thoughts?
I think it's just a great result. It's a great advert for English football. It's a great advert for the FA Cup. That Man City have lost in the FA Cup final because, let's be honest, Man City have dominated English football for the last 5, 6, 7 years under Pep Guardiola. And it's good to see other clubs other than the traditional big six win trophies. And also see Newcastle win the Carabao Cup this year. Obviously, Crystal Palace now with the FA Cup. And obviously Liverpool have won the league this year. Obviously Man City had won 4 in a row previously. To that, so in terms of the actual result and the performance itself, I thought Eze has just become one of the key men for them. Scored another brilliant goal on the counter-attack. But I think obviously the man in the moment was probably Dean Henderson. He made countless saves throughout the match, from Doku, Haaland, and obviously the massive penalty save from Omar Murmush, which was good sight for the keeper, but he guessed correctly, and then he got down up and sprung to action for the rebound. But I think probably the damning thing is probably that Erling Haaland never stepped up for the penalty, because he's obviously missed 4 of 7 penalties this season. But you expect obviously your top man, your marksman to try to step up and score, and that's obviously Haaland's goalless run at Wembley continues. He's never scored at Wembley for Manchester City. And obviously, I think the game itself, I thought Glasner got his game plan spot on, because they played not that long ago, Tom. They were 2-0 up at Etihad, and then the Man City come back to win 5-2. But Glasner said if they continue to play that way in terms of so openly, and Man City just overcommit and they leave gaps at the back, that he will punish them, and that's what's happened. And obviously Glasner's got a history of winning trophies. Obviously Frankfurt Europa League against Rangers a couple of years back, and now he's won Crystal Palace's first major trophy in their 119-year history. And you've seen the scenes with the fans and stuff like that. That's what football's all about, and that's the magic of the FA Cup. And for me, I thought they thoroughly deserved it. Although I thought Man City played well, but Crystal Palace wanted it a bit more, and that's what got them over the line in the end. They defended well. Keeper had an outstanding game, and when they had their chances, they took it.
Yep, I agree. In terms of Crystal Palace, it was a 10 out of 10 performance, one that they needed, because obviously they went into it as underdogs. But they more than deserved their victory. I don't know if you saw the goal. It was a really good goal. The boy Munoz for Crystal Palace, the wing back, he's been brilliant this season. He's been quite underrated, actually. No one's talked about him a lot, but he's been really good for Crystal Palace. And then obviously he got up the right hand side, crossed it in, and Eze arrived in at the box and slotted it in. So you're thinking, what a good start, because it was early in the first half. But can they hold it? And that's exactly what they done. They defended brilliantly the whole match. It's always so hard to defend with it was like a 5-3. It was like a 5-4-1 basically the whole match after it. The way Crystal Palace set up, and the likes of Gehi and Lacroix and the keeper. The keeper was unbelievable. I mean, obviously you said about the save. He was a bit lucky. I don't know if you saw the I think it was in the first half. Haaland had the opportunity to take it round him, and Henderson sort of palmed it with his hand outside the box. In my opinion, that was outside the box. And I don't know. I mean, you never know, but I probably would have backed Haaland to go on and score. So a lot of Man City fans weren't happy with that he should have been sent off.
I think
but I'm not
last
going to take that
time
away from him
his
because
post-match said that I think it was a correct decision, a great decision by the officials.
oh yeah. I think he would definitely. What do I said that? uh, no, but no, but apart from that, he was brilliant on the day, and yeah, for a deserved victory. And what a job Oliver Gardner's done there. You know, he's such a highly talented manager, and I think Crystal Palace are going to have to do something quite big this summer in terms of transfers because I think he's going to be getting headhunted by sort of bigger clubs, so to speak. I've heard RB Leipzig are quite interested in him. They quite like the look of him, so yeah, we'll see what happens there. And also, Crystal Palace are playing the Europa League. I think that's quite important to say because they won the FA Cup, so that means they play in the Europa League, and I think they're actually going to do. I think they could do well because obviously Selhurst Park, really, hard stadium to play at for Premier League teams. Good atmosphere. I think a lot of foreign teams will struggle there. So well done, Crystal Palace. And in terms of Man City, I actually didn't think they played too badly. They had a good few chances in the game. The penalty they missed, I don't know how or why Haaland didn't take that penalty. I heard that he's never scored at Wembley, but I mean, he's a main striker for me. He should be taking that penalty. I was really surprised it was Marnoosh that took that. But so yeah, and then they had a couple of good few chances. There was one in the second half where Riley he should have hit with his right foot, but he didn't, and he missed the chance. And yeah, that's another loss for Man City, and they're now trophyless this season, and it's going to be a big sub for Man City and Pep Guardiola, because it's quite mad to see, or quite crazy that they haven't won anything. I think you can safely say that their sort of dominance in English football at the moment is over. So yeah, a big summer ahead for Man City if they want to get back there. They want to get back to winning trophies and competing again. So we'll move on now to last weekend's Scottish Premier League results. So this was the last week of Scottish Premier League football. That's now the season finished. So the match is finished. Celtic 1, St Mirren 1, Dundee United 2, Aberdeen 1, Hibs 2, Rangers 2. And then on Sunday, the 18th of May, the results finished Kilmarnock 0, Hearts 1, Ross County 1, Motherwell 1, and St Johnstone 0, Dundee 2. So, Pearse, which match stands out to you the most?
I'm going to go with Celtic 1, St Mirren 1. Not really because of the result, but because of it was obviously Trophy Day, very important day in Scotland. The champions get the Guard of Honour, unfurl the title flag, get the title celebrations, and St Mirren nearly became party poopers because they came with a game plan, defended well, limited Celtic to very clear-cut chances. I thought they threw the bodies on the line. I think Stephen Robinson has done a tremendous job at St Mirren this season. And it took virtually the last kick of the game to get an equaliser. And it just had to be that man, James Forrest, one club man, most decorated player in Celtic's history. Now scored in 16 consecutive seasons as a professional footballer. It's his first goal of the season. What a finish it was. And I think he's been trying to get that goal for the last couple of weeks. He's trying to suck the ball in the back of the net. It's just not happening for him. But I thought he's coming to form yet again at the right time. That's 2 seasons in a row he's done that, where he's been out with a long injury and he's came back and he looks as fresh as he's ever done. And obviously Nicholas Kuhn's dropped off again. So I think he potentially could be the starter next week for the Cup Final against Aberdeen. But I think that was just obviously the main talking point for me in terms of obviously around James Forrest. The fact is they performed well and he got his 16th goal, 16th consecutive season to score. I think that's an amazing achievement, and what a player he is, and what a career he's had, and what a player he still is.
Yeah, just adding on that, I mean, it was kind of written in the stars. I mean, the fact that I've never seen an equaliser for Celtic to be celebrated that loudly against St Mirren at home
It's usually
in the
the
last minute.
offside.
Yeah, usually it's our side, I know. But it was quite crazy to see, and obviously, James Forrest, that's his scores again in his 16th consecutive season. It's quite a crazy start. So yeah, but my standout match is Dundee United 2, Aberdeen 1. So because Aberdeen won, because Dundee United won 2-1, it meant that they leapfrogged Aberdeen into fourth place, and that meant that Dundee United clinched European football next season. It was quite a competitive game, and Sam Dalby scored the penalty to make it 2-1, and then Dundee United obviously they held out and they got that victory. But I just think for Dundee United, I mean, a brilliant achievement for them back into European football. Jim Goodwin there this season has done a really good job. Sort of. Is it this their first season back in the leagues? Did they get promoted last season? I think they did.
Last season. Wait.
So this was their first league back. This is their first season back in the top division.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
So, I mean, is. So, I mean, the fact that they've done that, I mean, such a long season, it's like, it's been crazy. It's crazy to think that.
Seems like a lifetime ago.
It feels like ages ago. But the fact that they've got European football at the first time of asking, get back into the league is really, really impressive. And whereas Aberdeen, I mean, they are the definition of an up and down season. I mean, it felt like last week we were talking about them in a title race.
Can we say
I remember I asked you. I remember I asked you. Do you think they can win the title? And you were like, maybe, I don't know. And now look at them; they finished fifth in the league. It's just been such an up and down season for them. Aberdeen will be really disappointed with the way they've ended the season. But they're not favourites at all, but they've got a chance to make their season a bit successful next week if they beat Celtic in the Scottish Cup Final. So we'll see what happens there. But yep, that was my standout match. Dundee United 2, Aberdeen 1. So a bit of managerial news now. So I'll start off with Dundee. So it was announced yesterday, which was Monday the 19th of May, that Dundee announced that they had sacked or parted company with Tony Docherty. So they said that, they obviously they thanked him for the job that he's done, and they said that basically the reason that they parted company was they weren't really satisfied with the season. The fact that Dundee finished 10th and just about managed to get out the playoff, avoid the playoffs. So yeah, Tony Docherty and Dundee part company. What was your thoughts on that, Pearse?
I'm not really surprised, to be honest, Tom. I think Dundee shouldn't be dragged into that sort of relegation kind of playoff battle in the first place, because we know how good they are going forward. They've got players like Simon Murray, Leo Cameron, who's obviously now away to Rangers in the summer. But they've got so much talent going forward. But Tom, to concede the most goals in the league and to get bailed out by your attack, you don't score that many goals every season, especially for a club like Dundee with limited resources. Because obviously, if you're performing well as a side, you're going to lose your best players. They're going to get cherry picked by the bigger clubs in the league or clubs down south. So to concede 77 goals, have a minus 20 goal difference, and only narrowly avoid the relegation playoff, I can see why. Although I think Tony Docherty is a good manager and he had them playing some nice football and had some great results over the season. And if you're watching, we touched on it many times this season, watching Dundee at Dens Park is entertaining as a neutral. But if you're a Dundee fan, you must be pulling your hair out at how poor defensively they are in terms of conceding set pieces, individual errors, and that's ultimately cost them. at his job, because the fact that you can't be that open and that kind of gung-ho, because I don't think it works in the long run. And I think Dundee have had a good season, but if they want to build on that and push for top six, that's what they should be aiming to go for in terms of finishing sixth, seventh. That sort of try break into the top six and push on into Europe. And I think Tony Docherty took them as far as he can. It's his first job as management. Obviously, was well known, well documented. He was obviously assistant to Derek McInnes for many years, and obviously he's learned from his stewardship. So I think no doubt he'll get another job in football. He's a good manager, but I think in the future he'll need to learn that he'll need to be a bit more defensively sound. But I think Dundee have made the right decision, and it's been interesting to see who the new manager will be.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm actually going to be the opposite. I actually was surprised about it. I actually don't think really he deserved to be sacked. I mean, I get your points. I get your points that you make. The fact that they've conceded the most goals in the league this season, and the attack has built them out. But I mean, I remember talking about Tony Docherty last season when we did the podcast last season as well, and I was saying about how good a job he's done. The fact that it was his first job as manager, and he's managed to get Dundee comfortably safe in the league. Did they finish top six last season? I don't think they did. I think they just missed out.
Missed out, yeah.
But I mean, I thought he did a brilliant job last season. And that was their first time back in the league. They'd just been promoted, and then also this season it was difficult. Um, you know, but they weren't really for me. I never really felt that they were ever going to get dragged into the relegation playoff, or even get relegated. I always felt that they were going to get out of it anyway. And you've got to remember, like before Tony Docherty, like I always felt Dundee were always in and out of the league. They were, they had like the likes of Mark McGee. Remember he got the job, and they were always getting relegated. They were coming back and then getting relegated. Whereas Tony Docherty's kept them up twice in a row, 2 seasons in a row without any playoff or even getting relegated. So I was actually quite surprised about it. I actually thought, um, I actually thought he did a good job with Dundee. I don't think he really deserved it, but a lot of Dundee fans kind of felt that it was time for him to leave. So who am I to know? And yeah, as you said, it'll be interesting to see who the new manager will be. Because I think it's going to have to be I think this will be quite a significant appointment, because I think Tony Docherty's sort of made Dundee an established top flight team. And obviously now with Lyle Cameron, who was one of their best players, and now he's left to go to Rangers. It's going to be interesting to see how they replace him.
Let's not forget as well, Tom, to touch on it as well. They lost Luke McCown at the start of the season.
Aye, exactly. Yeah, they did. He was a big player for them. They lost him the last day of the window as well. So yeah. Yeah, for me, I was surprised. I actually don't think he deserved to get sacked, but that's the decision. And we'll see how Dundee get on next season with the new manager. And then I will just move on to a little bit more managerial news with Rangers. So we found out after the Rangers match last game of the season that Barry Ferguson he won't be the manager of Rangers next season. So he's now left his post as interim manager. So with me hearing lots of chat, I mean, we talked about Carlo Ancelotti's son, Davide Ancelotti, last week. We thought that we thought he was the favourite. That sort of died down a little bit, and in the last 24 hours or so, it's looking like Steven Gerrard might make a return. Apparently, the owners that will be coming into Rangers, apparently they want him as their chosen manager. So Steven Gerrard, once again, Rangers manager, potentially. What would you think about that, Pearse?
I think it's a bit like Brendan Rodgers when he came back.
Yeah, that's what I think, yeah.
I think a 50-50 split. I think obviously the name of Gerrard, obviously they know what he'd done in terms of he obviously he stopped Celtic winning the 10. That was his main job, that was his main criteria. He took over Rangers at a bit of a mess, got them progressing well in the Europa League, for example. And then when he never got backed, he took the Aston Villa job, but didn't really go to plan there. And obviously went to Saudi, earned quite a lot of money there. Again, kind of took one of the lesser teams and get sacked there again. So I think his time after Rangers hasn't really gone to plan as he'd hoped. But I think Rangers fans want someone that will demand standards, someone that can attract a certain calibre of player, and obviously he knows the club, and he's won a trophy at the club before, won a league title, an undefeated season. Although it was during COVID, when obviously the world was kind of up in the air, but still had an unbeaten season. I think obviously a lot of other fans, that the kind of ones that are not Gerrard in, would also say that he only won 1 out of 9 trophies available at the time. So it's kind of 50-50 for me. But I think obviously if you bring Gerrard back to Rangers and Scottish football, I think it will be fireworks, and will it be successful? Who knows? But obviously Celtic should retain the title next season because they are a bit ahead in terms of their development in their squad. But Gerrard back to Rangers would be fireworks, and I'm sure whole Scottish football will have more eyes on it next season if he was appointed as the manager. But I think it would take time for certain members of the Rangers fan base to come around. But I think if you start winning football matches, then everyone comes around eventually.
I saw Gerrard becoming a Rangers manager again. For me, I think it would be quite smart because obviously he knows the club as he was there the first time around. He was successful, obviously, because he won the title. And I think as well, I think he would come back because I think he probably sees a different future for Rangers because of the respective potential new owners coming in. I think in terms of financial, Rangers might be a little bit better off than they were when Gerrard left the first time. So I think for Gerrard, I think he'd find it more easier to say yes to taking the job. Whereas if it was last season, I don't think he would have because the ownership and stuff. It wasn't the situation it is now. And it's sort of like it sort of feels like the same sort of job as the first time around when he first got appointed. Because the first time he got appointed, he had to rebuild the squad because the squad wasn't in a good position. It feels like that this time. The squad is nowhere near Celtic's. There's lots of position that needs filled, I feel. And I think Gerrard will have to do that again. So, yeah, but at the moment, as rumours, it does feel like it has been narrowed down. And apparently Rangers will make an announcement. I have a feeling it'll be this week. We'll find out who the manager will be. And then next week on the podcast, if it is that, we'll also talk about it and go from there. And then just lastly, before we move on to Asian football news, we just have to touch on quickly Europa League Final this week. So that's Tottenham versus Manchester United. Both teams domestically have been really poor this season, but they both have a chance of winning some silverware by winning the Europa League. Pearse, looking forward to it. And how do you think the match will go?
I think both sides are as bad as each other.
Yeah.
And I think obviously the two key men for either side would be Son for Tottenham and then Bruno Fernandes for Manchester United. Because apart from that, I don't really see too much to split the sides. I think both sides are poor defensive. I think both sides have kind of been powder puff in attack. I think probably Ange Postecoglou's side has probably got a bit more firepower because I don't really see, like, I don't have any confidence in any Manchester United striker, like whether it be Rasmus Højlund or Joshua Zirkzee. I think they've failed to deliver. They can't handle the pressure. I think maybe Amad Diallo has been a bright spark. Alejandro Garnacho's been in and out of the side. I think Manchester United at times have been far too defensive in terms of playing this wing back system with 3 at the back. So they play more defenders than they do attackers. But you think of also players like Casemiro, obviously Champions League winner 5 times. He'll have that experience. But it's a year of sides that have not won trophies for a very long time. And could this be Tottenham's year? And let you know, Ange Postecoglou has won in his second season, wherever he's been, whether it be in Australia, Japan, Scotland, and now potentially England. And he said this week, he says, I wasn't predicting, I'm telling a fact. That's what I do. So I don't know if there maybe a bit arrogance or on his part, but obviously he's had a really poor season domestically for Tottenham. And I'd love to see Tottenham win a trophy, because I think Manchester United have had the glory years for many years. Obviously not recently since Sir Alex has left, but they have won 2 trophies in the last 2 seasons. Which Tottenham haven't won a major trophy since 2008 when they won the Carling Cup against Chelsea, I believe. Jonathan Woodgate with the winner. So a long time. And I think it'd probably be the fitting way for maybe Son Heung-min to go out, because I think he's potentially leaving the club in the summer. And he'll have potential plenty of suitors, because it will probably be his last big contract. But I think this game will go all the way in terms of extra time. Will it be penalties? I don't know. But I think it'll be high scoring, because I think both sides can't defend. So I'm going to go 3-2 Tottenham.
Yep. I have no idea how this game is going to go, because it's so hard to predict. Because the form of the teams has been terrible recently. They both get defeated at the weekend. It's still quite crazy that they can win a trophy as big as this. You know, but let's be honest. I think if either team do, it's sort of just it's sort of a cover for the season that they've had, because both teams have a lot of problems to sort out. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a very interesting match. I think it'll be quite nervy as well, because I think both teams are not in good confidence. So I don't expect to see free-flowing football. I think it'll be quite a nervy game, because I think both teams obviously know they need to win to try and cover up the dreadful seasons that both had. In terms of my prediction, I don't know why I do think Tottenham might just do it. We all know Tottenham's sort of ridicule over the years of the fact they never win any trophies, but I just think tomorrow night will be their chance. Um, you know,
Can I throw in something as well, Tom? Manchester United have not beaten Tottenham since 2022.
well, there you go. That's another stat as well. Quite an important stat, actually. But the only thing for Tottenham I do worry about slightly is they've got quite a lot of injuries, because Madison's out. Lucas Bergvall, he won't play tomorrow. I think Kulusevski's out as well.
Kulusevski's definitely.
Yeah, so that's three big players for Tottenham. So it's going to be interesting to see how they set up tomorrow. But I'm going to say 2-1 Tottenham. Not a lot of conviction in that. But if Man United did win, I wouldn't be surprised at all, because it's Man United at the end of the day. They are a big, massive club still, and you know, I think more people will say Man United to win because of their history, and their stature. So I definitely wouldn't be surprised to see Man United win tomorrow. But for me, my opinion, I think Tottenham will do it. But we'll wait and see. So for the final part of the show, Pearse now give his Asian football roundup.
Yeah, short one this time. So K-League 1, Saturday, 17th of May. Jumbo Hyundai Motors 2, Yang 0, Gangwon FC 1, Wilson HDFC 1, Gimcho Samuel 1, JJSK 1, Sunday, the 18th of May, with Daegu FC 0, FC Seoul 1, Hwang Steelers 0, Gwangju FC 1, Seoul FC 3, Daejeon Citizen 0. Top of the table, we've got Daejeon joint top with Jeonbuk, both on 20 points, Ulsan sitting third on 25, and Gimchung in fourth on 24 points. Bottom half of the table, we've got Daegu rock bottom 11 points, and then Jeju and Suwon making up the bottom three on 12 and 14 points respectively. In terms of J League 1 action, so Saturday 17th May with FC Machida Zelvia 3, Kashi Russell 0, Sanfrecce Hiroshima 2, Tokyo Verde 1, Vissel Kobe 3, Gambo Osaka 2, Yokohama Marinos 0, Kyoto Sanga FC 3, Avispa Fukuoka 1, Nagoya Grampus 1, Cashew Antlers 1, Shimizu S Pulse 0, Shonan Bemari 0, Yokohama FC 1, Ura Diamonds 3, FC Tokyo 2, Sunday the 18th of May with Fagiano Okayama 2, Alberts Nagata 1, Kawasaki Frontale 2, Cerezo Osaka 0. In terms of the league table, Cashew Antlers sit top, 37 points. Second, Cashew on 33 points. Sangate FC on 31 points in the third position in the top three. And just aside, we've got Ura Dimes and Sanfrecce Ostra. Both join on 29 points, just 2 points outside the top three. In terms of the bottom half table, we've got Yokohama F. Mariners. Season was bad from worse. Sitting rock bottom, 20th position, and 8 points. Kind of cut adrift a little bit. Albert Agata in 19th on 13 points. Having played a game more. And then the Goy Grampus made up the bottom three on 17 points. And then just aside the bottom three, we've got in 17th position, we've got Yokohama FC on 18 points. And that's all your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse. And thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
All right.